Welcome back to the news. You're watching News First. Now, it's been a week since Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 with 239 passengers and crew on board disappeared without a trace. The latest leads in the search for the missing jetliner suggest that the plane turned west and then flew for a certain amount of time after its last confirmed location. Newsfirst has been closely monitoring every single development surrounding the missing jetliner. Let's cross over to Ramesh Irugal Bandara, who together with the Newsfirst International Desk has a more detailed and comprehensive report on the developments. Over to you, Ramesh.
Well, thank you, Nicola. Well, there have been certain developments on the fate of missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. We heard from investigators yesterday that this flight could have been hijacked, and the theories that are coming out after yesterday go on to further strengthen this claim that this flight could have actually been hijacked. Let's take a look at Google Maps. We'll show you the path which this flight was due to take. It was initially due to fly from Malaysia to China over here in a straight line. However, it diverted off its northwestern path and headed westwards. So, the latest predictions that are coming out from the international media and the investigators show that this flight could have ended up in this region. This is the South Indian Ocean region, or it could have headed off towards Western Europe, towards Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, towards this border area. These are the latest theories that are being circulated by the international media as well as the investigators who are investigating into the disappearance of this flight MH370 Malaysian Airlines flight. Now, speaking at a media briefing earlier today, Malaysian Prime Minister Razak said that investigators believe that someone on board the airliner could have deliberately turned off the communication system, and this could have led to the plane disappearing off communications.
Based on new satellite communication, we can say with a high degree of certainty that the aircraft communications addressing and reporting system, or ACAS, was disabled just before the aircraft reached the east coast of Peninsular Malaysia. Up until the point at which it left military primary radar coverage, these movements are consistent with deliberate action by someone on the plane. Today, based on raw satellite data which was obtained from the satellite data service provider, we can confirm that the aircraft shown in the primary radar data was flight MH370.
Now, investigators have been able to find out that this flight MH370 actually flew for nearly 7 hours after it lost contact with the ground. The Malaysian Prime Minister, speaking at the same press conference, stated that they are looking into every possibility and focused that they are also looking into the whereabouts of passengers as well as the crew on board and whether they could have been involved in this incident.
Based on this new data, the aviation authorities of Malaysia and their international counterparts have determined that the plane's last communication with a satellite was in one of two possible corridors. A northern corridor stretching approximately from the border of Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan to northern Thailand, or a southern corridor stretching approximately from Indonesia to southern Indian Ocean. The Malaysian authorities have refocused their investigation into the crew and passengers on board. Despite media reports that the plane was hijacked, I wish to be very clear. We are still investigating all possibilities as to what caused MH370 to deviate from its original flight path.
Now, why are investigators suddenly focusing their attention on this hijacking theory? This is mainly because the path that is usually taken from Malaysia to China is a very commonly used path, and there are only two ways in which this flight could have gone off track. That is, one, if the pilot or someone who knows to pilot craft steered the plane off the course, or if the autopilot was programmed in a different way to go off course naturally. Now, because of this, the attention has now focused on the crew on board the plane as well as the passengers. Now, the residences of the co-pilot as well as the pilot of flight MH370 were searched today.
The suspicion has hardened that it was flown off course by the pilot or co-pilot or someone else with detailed knowledge of aircraft. According to reports, the experienced Captain Zahui Ahmad Shah was a flying enthusiast who spent off his days tinkering with a flight simulator he had set up at his home. Security had been placed around the residences of both the captain and co-pilot.
Now, families and relatives of the victims of flight MH370 that went missing are still waiting for any word, any information on their missing loved ones. They shared these views following the press conference held by the Malaysian Prime Minister.
I have one big question. When did they really know this? Why are they only telling us this information now? Because this information already came out in Malaysia ages ago, including some information that had even come out on the 8th and 9th. Why are they only telling us this now? Did they know this all along? Or did they only find this out now? If they only found out recently, what work in terms of measures and various aspects have they been doing all this time?
You could say that this is good news. In the overall view of the situation, it is good news. This means that there is still hope that our relatives are alive.
It's very funny because if the MH370 you can turn back, it means because some country under the radar control area, so the radar can be scanned and be shown. But at the moment, no country, no other radar confirm. I mean, the airplanes run back or turn away in this area. I think this is quite very, I feel very not understanding and very funny.
Kita tertanya-tanya dan hari ini sudah.
Previously, we had been begging for information, and now that we are getting more information that is valid, I feel there is brighter hope in finding the plane as well as the passengers of that plane.
Dan para penumpang yang berada di dalam pesawat.
Now, search operations to locate the missing flight has entered its second week. CEO of Malaysian Airlines in an interview with the media said that they are not sparing any expense and they are not sparing any effort. They are doing everything they can to locate this missing plane, and they are not concealing information to the public.
After 7 days of not locating the aircraft, it's unprecedented in civil aviation history. Now, this is a modern aircraft with lots and lots of equipment on board, and I think we and I think many others are equally puzzled why we're unable to locate it after 7 days. We are putting all effort. We have shared everything as a company we know to our next of kin, not only in Beijing but also in Malaysia. I don't think we're hiding anything. There's no reason to hide anything. Malaysia Airlines do not compromise safety. We will spend whatever necessary in order to make it a safe operation for our passengers.
Flight MH370 disappeared on Vietnamese airspace. Now, Vietnam was one of the first respondents to begin their search operations to locate this missing flight. Now, Vietnam has been searching throughout a week, and as it enters the second week, the Vietnam officials have said that they are packing up the planes that they have been using to locate flight MH370.
Air Force officers were seen covering parts of the military planes with cloth. The fate of the Malaysian Airlines Boeing 777-200ER has been shrouded in mystery since it disappeared off Malaysia's east coast less than an hour into the 8th of March scheduled flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Investigators have increasingly focused on the possibility that it was flown off course by the pilot or co-pilot or someone else on board with detailed knowledge of how to fly and navigate a large commercial aircraft.
Well, those are all the updates we have for you for now on the fate of missing flight MH370. The international desk will, of course, keep a constant lookout for any update with regard to the missing flight, Malaysian Airlines flight MH370. You can join the conversation with us through our Newsfirst website, www.newsfirst.lk, and you can also join us through our Facebook page as well as our Twitter page. For the Newsfirst International Desk, I'm Ramesh Rugal Banda, signing off for now.